We begin in Kenya, where there are now fears that criminal elements are playing an active role during anti-government protests. Supporters of opposition leader Raila Odinga have been staging a second week of protests against the high cost of living. In the capital, Nairobi, unidentified attackers targeted private property on Monday and places of worship in the informal settlement of Kibera. Here's CGTN's Wanja Mungai with his story. In Kibera slum in Kenya's capital of Nairobi, Joseph Maloba is counting his losses. His tire business has been burnt down and nearly $4,000 worth of goods have been destroyed.
To me, it's a big loss. I've lost over 500,000. This is a very big loss. I don't know how I'll recover it. I don't know where I'll start from. I totally don't know what I'll do.
The damage here has been devastating, not just to businesses, but families too, as some lost their homes. Assailants also torched religious centers in Kibera, including a mosque and a church.
We don't know where to start after all the loss. Our children's schools have been burnt down, our churches too. We don't know where to go considering the tough economic times.
We were not able to get them, because we tried as from 6. We could get rumors that people want to get into the church to damage, but we tried by all ways, by all means, but we could not get the authorities.
Rights groups say people of different religious and ethnic backgrounds were affected by the violence.
Luos lost their businesses, they lost their garages. Nubians lost their businesses. Kisis were attacked. Kikuyus lost their kiosks, and all people of God suffered. And I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, how will we allow ourselves to be manipulated by politicians and by criminals?
Kibera has been one of the areas in Nairobi where demonstrators supporting the opposition have been active. They are decrying the high cost of living, among other issues, and say the protest will continue.
Ruto must make no mistake. This struggle will march on, stronger and mightier, with his every vile response until our demands are met.
President William Ruto has accused Raila Odinga of stirring up violence in Kenya, while Odinga denies the allegations. The protests have a huge toll on the economy as well. According to the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, over $22 million are lost each day of the protest and their aftermath. Wanja Mungai, CGTN. To shed more light on the current political situation in Kenya, we're joined by Mark Bichachi, a political analyst and communication strategist via Zoom in Nairobi. Thank you very much, Mr. Bichachi, for joining us. Kenya is currently in a very precarious position, given the hardline stance of both the government and the opposition. What are your thoughts on the political tensions in the country?
Well, first and foremost, these tensions started way back when the elections were held. We know that our elections were closely contested, with the president winning by 200,000 votes out of 14 million. What this then caused was that the opposition leader Raila Odinga had cause to say that the elections were not fair. But to compound these issues, the quality and the cost of living has increased quite a bit, and the people have been feeling the pinch, especially given that President William Ruto had promised to reduce the cost of living the moment he got into office. So a mixture of broken promises and a hotly contested election has brought us to this point where the people of Kenya, by and large, are complaining about the cost of living, and Raila's supporters are now hitting the streets to ensure that the cost of living is reduced, even as they decry the leadership of William Ruto as their president.
So what will it take for the country to avoid more damaging consequences of a deepening political divide?
Well, it's interesting. First and foremost, the rise of the cost of living is not just a Kenyan phenomenon. As you know, it's a worldwide phenomenon. I think what Kenyans are asking for is for the government to reinstate the subsidies that it had on electricity, basic food commodities such as flour, and to make sure that life is affordable. I think the way for the government to get out of this is to reinstate subsidies so that the prices of commodities commodities can go down. However, the government has stood firm saying it will not do any such thing. So it is going to be a hard impasse for this country to get over.
How best can the interests of the ordinary person be safeguarded amid all of these political push and pull?
Well, it's going to be difficult. Indeed, the chair of the President's Committee on Economic Matters spoke and said that it's going to be difficult times, and it is difficult times already. The ordinary Kenyan is going to suffer based on these particular demonstrations. The quickest and softest way is for Raila Odinga and William Ruto to have a conversation and to cease the demonstrations and to cease the counter demonstrations which attacked the former president farm, and to ensure that the tensions are reduced. I don't see any other way out other than dialogue and there being set targets for the demands of the demonstrators to be met.